Share the happiness of Best Wishes Sunday at 9.
Now from Fairway Sports World in Natick, the team of Pete Surette of Andover and Tom Surette of North Billerica will challenge our defending champions Jeff Atkins of Springfield and John Miller of Chicopee on Candlepin doubles. Well, if you were watching last week, everyone, you know that we've got a tough act to follow. We went into overtime. All together, I guess, we bowled 22 boxes, and our defending champions, Jeff Atkins and John Miller, were barely able to squeeze it out just by one lonely pin, so we'll be hard-pressed to match that again this week, and I'm sure they don't want to be pressed to match that again this week. They're going for 5 in a row. Pete Surette and Tom Surette are going for 1 in a row, and the payoff for them, for the winning team, $500. For the losing team, it's $300, and 3 marks in a row, of course, is worth $50 in bonus money. Each team last week was able to come up with that. And 3 strikes in a row is worth $1,000 in bonus money. Jeff Atkins came within 2 pins of being able to knock us off for that. And should a team be able to put together a string of 300, then there'd be an extra payoff of $100. So there's plenty of incentive here and plenty of bowling coming our way. Let's get going. John Miller is single, self-employed, at bowling, I think. John was upset that we had the 7-week break for the women's series because it severely interrupted his cash flow. But now he's back cashing our regular paychecks. Opening 10s for everyone. John Miller has an average of 130. Pete Surette here has an average of 116. Both guys have pretty good shots at spare here. A lot of wood hanging around down there. Oh. Pete Surette gets his. So the first mark of the match. And the challengers slip away to a 1-pin lead plus whatever Pete Surette can get on the spare. On the spare now, Peter at 7. Peter will try to double up here, and almost. Good bid. So the challengers now have a 7-pin lead after 3. I think we've told you before some of the records that John Miller holds. One of them is a 5-string total of 766. So it's easy to see how he has a 130 average, especially with bowling like that, a strike in the 4th. Now, you probably have been able to figure out at this point that Pete Surette and Tom Surette are brothers, but surprisingly, this is the first time they bowled together. Pete says Tom didn't want him until they teamed up together in the roll-off and bowled, and Pete came up with a 667, and then Tom figured that maybe it wasn't such a bad deal to have his little brother on the same team. he's got it. So Pete Surette sets up his brother with a spare in the 5th. John Miller takes a 9 in the 5th. At this point, the champs are up by a couple of pins, but that's subject to change and definitely will change when Tom Surette steps up there to fill out the spare. So at the halfway point, things are pretty close. We'll be back with part 2 of the opening string right after this. All right, here we go with part 2 of the opener. Jeff Atkins steps up. Jeff from Springfield. He's married with a couple of children. He works as a letter carrier for the post office. And Tom Surette working on a spare. Tom works for H.P. Hood. Well, he's bouncing him, but gets the 10 anyway. And the challengers, Tom and Peter Surette, lead it by 6 pins after 6. Jeff, like his partner John Miller, averages 130. And they also have identical high singles of 205. Tom averages 124, and he's got a high single of 193. And each of these guys now has a very good shot at spare. Well, again, that's always a problem when the wood isn't exactly next and flush with the pin you're trying to knock down. So the challengers get their spare and the champs get nothing. And the challengers have a great chance to move a little bit more into the lead. Well, there's a spare. They've been few and far between for the champs. And speaking of between, that's just where Tom Surette goes. And just to show that it can be done again. So that lead is gone. We're dead even, and now we're not even anymore as the champs move into the lead by 8. We were kidding Tom Surette before that he looked a lot like comedian Jay Leno, but he hasn't said anything funny yet, and so we're sure that they're not one and the same person. Probably doesn't feel like laughing at this point either after seeing a lead slip away. So the champs lead it by 10. One box to go here, then we'll switch alleys. And then add up our totals to determine our champion, and that'll make Tom Surette feel just a little bit better. Jeff Atkins gets the diamond, so he's got a mark to work on in the 10th, too. 122 to open it up. Tom's having a little bit of a problem. Containing that bounce. He does it again. He gets 6, and maybe he can straighten it out before string number 2. We'll see. Still close enough, though, as the Surette brothers open up with a 111. They're down by 11, but still very much in it. The champs, Jeff Atkins and John Miller, lead it by 11. We'll see if they can hold on when we come back for string number 2 to decide it all right after this. All right, here we go with part 2 of the opener now. The challengers down by 11 pins. So Pete Surette and Tom Surette have to hustle a little bit. And that's hustling enough. The number 5 goes down, and the challengers start with the spare. Well, there it goes. 1 ball late.
Come on up here.
Pete Surette seems to have it going now. So the challengers pick up a quick 9 pins, and now they're only down by 2 pins in the match.
Yes.
And there's another mark. You can see by John's expression he's not all that pleased with the way he's bowling. In fact, he wasn't after the first 5 that he threw up on the board. Especially upset now to see that lead disappear and to find Tom and Peter Surette moving into the lead. As Peter has a chance for bonus money. The 3 in a row. So after 3 now in string number 2, an 18-pin lead for the challengers, and overall that's a 17-pin lead. A 7-pin lead, excuse me, for the challengers.
There you go. All right, right on it now.
And there's another mark. He's been right on so far. John takes his 10, so the champs are at 39 here. The challengers, after this bonus ball, are at 63. It's a 13-pin lead overall in the match for Pete and Tom Surette. Well, not a productive 5 strings for John Miller. He's done better. Finds himself down 24 in this string, and that means down 13 in the match. It's up to Jeff Atkins to catch up, and up to Tom Surette to hold on. Tom is still having trouble getting rid of that hop. Our lob line judge, Ralph Stewart, is going to take that home with him, I guess. No change. Still a 13-pin lead for the challengers. Champs have gone the whole second string so far without a mark. Jeff Atkins still shopping for a mark. And there it is. Still down by 13 in the match now. But Jeff Atkins will have a chance to take a big chunk out of that when he fills out the spare. Tom Surette making it harder still. He's got a spare lead. Six in the spare. So it's a 7-pin lead overall. Tom Surette spares in the 8th. Jeff Atkins needs the horseman. So after 8 in the second string, overall, a 7-pin lead plus that many. A 10-pin lead in the match for the challengers. Jeff Atkins has 2 boxes to catch up. All right, Jeff needs this at least for the 10, because every pin, of course, is important. Well, he doesn't. He could still do it with a mark and a 9, I believe. Let's. Right, because it's a 9-pin lead overall now. So he can still do it with just 1 mark. Remember, these guys, the champs that is, went into overtime last week and barely pulled it out by 1 pin. All right, he'll need that to have a shot. And it wiggles, but it stands. So we've got new champions, and you can see the look of relief in Tom Surette's eyes, boy. As we have got new champions, old champs just couldn't buy a mark. They only got 1, as it turned out, in this second and deciding string, and they almost had a shot at the end, but that 10-pin actually saw wiggled and wiggled, but just wouldn't fall. So here's the way it looks after a final string of 119 from Tom Surette. Surette and Pete Surette, and a 101 from Jeff Atkins and John Miller. We've got a two-string total of 230 for our new champs, the Surette brothers, and 223 for our old champs, Jeff Atkins and John Miller. We'll be back with everyone right after this. All right, after 5 weeks, we finally have to say goodbye to Jeff Atkins and John Miller, and I think you guys have bowled better while you've been on.
A little bit better.
If memory serves me. You're going to have to get a job now after 5 weeks.
It's going to be tough. Well, if I bowl like this, I deserve to have to go out and find a job, I'll tell you. But I just didn't have it, you know.
Yeah. Not this show. All right, well, we'll see you again next time around.
I hope so.
All right, Jeff Atkins and John Miller will be back again, and Pete Surette and Tom Surette will be back again next time around. Now, we were talking before how your older brother here didn't want you on the team. Now, after the way you bowled and he bowled today, maybe you'll be a little bit of a snub and find someone.
Yeah, I'll have to find another partner for this as soon as the new year starts.
Well, maybe Jeffrey here. How long before Jeffrey starts taking the ball out and bowling?
Oh, he's throwing them down now, but
Yeah.
we can't keep him off. Matter of fact, that's what he wants to do now.
We're going to have to replace some of the ceiling panels. It took a while to get it going.
Yeah, I was bouncing the ball terrible.
It doesn't matter, though. It's fine as long as you come out a few pins ahead,
No,
right?
Peter carried me, so we did all right.
All right, Tom Surette and Peter Surette and Jeffrey Surette, I'm sure, will be back next week to watch. And as for the challengers next week, they will be Dennis Shute of Amesbury and John Whaler of Exeter, New Hampshire. So I hope you join us. Now, for everyone here at Fairway Sports World in Natick, have a good afternoon.